Hello, Mrs. Helverson and Mr. Long's reading scholars. I am back today with another lesson from our blue reading book. Remember, we got started yesterday with Edna and Carla. That's our group of stories for our next few lessons. So, scholars, let's go ahead and get started. If you need to grab your book and get to lesson 25, press pause for a moment. All right, hopefully you are now ready. Starting at column 1. Word 1 is seagulls. What word? Good. Seagulls are birds that are seen around the ocean. They are sometimes just called gulls. Word 2 is elevator. What word? Right, elevator. Word 3 is surface. What word? Good. Surface either was or will be a spelling word very soon. Surface. Let's spell surface. Ready? S-U-R-F-A-C-E. Word 4 is pirates. What word? Good. Word 5 is instant. What word? Yes. And word 6 is handkerchief. What word? Handkerchief. Good. Column 1, the quick way. Everybody ready? Back to the top. On my snap. Get ready. Seagulls, elevator, surface, pirates, instant, handkerchief. That brings us to column 2. Number 1 has 2 words. What 2 words are they? Right, first mate. The first mate is a crew member who is the captain's main helper. Word 2. What word? Yes, mast. The mast on a ship is a tall pole. Some masts are used to hold sails in place. Word 3. What word? Correct, engineer. The engineer on a ship is the crew member who makes sure that the engine is running well. Word 4. What word? Correct, silent. Hopefully you're not being silent and you're answering my questions. Let's do column 2 the quick way. Everyone ready? Here we go. First mate, mast, engineer, silent. Touching column 3. Ready? Word 1 is galley. What word? Correct, galley. The galley is the kitchen on an airplane or a ship. Everyone, what do we call the kitchen on a ship? Right, the galley. Word 2. What word? Right, stern. The stern of a ship is the back of the ship. What do we call the back of the ship? Yes, the stern. Word 3. What word? Yes, touch. Word 4. What word? Correct, pretend. Word 5 is the word roughed. What word? Roughed. Scholars, get ready. We're going to do it the quick way. When I touch my chin. Get ready? Galley, stern, touch, pretend, roughed. Column 4. Scholars, all the words in column 4 have endings. I hope you're pointing at the words with me as we go. Word 1 is exciting. What word? Yes, exciting. Word 2 is powered. What word? Right, powered. Word 3 is squawking. What word? Good, squawking. Word 4 is sliced. What word? Yes, sliced. Column 4 the quick way, when I touch my ear. Get ready. Exciting, powered, squawking, sliced. Column 5, our last column. All the words in column 5 today are compound words. Remember, compound words are words that are made when two other words are put together. Word 1, hail and stone, makes what word? Right, hailstone. Word 2, spy and glass, make what word? Spyglass. Excellent. Word 3, tip and toe, make tiptoe is right. Good job, scholars. If you feel like you want to practice reading any of those words again, press pause for just a moment, go through those words if you'd like, and then press play again. All right, we are on part B. Part B, scholars, is our story for today as we continue on in our adventure with Edna and Carla. Let's all touch the title. Ready? The title of our story today is Looking for Something to Do. Everyone, what's the title? Right, looking for something to do. Hopefully none of you are looking for something to do other than this reading lesson, because that's where we're going to focus right now. Follow along with me, remember tracking fingers or a bookmark? And remember, I'm going to ask a few questions along the way. I would like you to answer those questions as we go. Looking for something to do. Edna and Carla had dashed out of the map room. They had run to the stern of the ship, where they watched the seagulls that followed the ship. The girls watched the waves roll off the stern of the ship. Let's check in on a couple things. Hold your spot. Where had they come from? The map room. Is that what you said? And where are they now? Did you say the stern? And is the stern the front or the back of the ship? Ready? Right, the back. Everyone, touch the stern of the ship on the next page. So the flag is at the front, so you should be pointing at the other end of the ship, right? Where the US flag is not flying. All right, let's continue. Tracking fingers ready. Then the girls ran to the galley. The cook was busy. They tried to talk to him, but the only thing he wanted to talk about was how much his new gold tooth hurt. After the girls spent about 5 minutes in the galley, they went to the engine room. So let's see if we can track where they were. So first they were in the map room, then they went to the, stern. And when they left the stern, they went to the galley, right, which is the kitchen of the ship. And after they left the galley, they went to the engine room. Now, scholars, why did they leave the galley? Did you say something about how the cook was just complaining about his gold tooth? Yes, exactly. All right, go back to page 125 so we can finish the reading on that page. I'm starting at the engine room in a ship. See if you can find where I am. The engine room in a ship is the place where the ship's engine is. Some ships have engines that are as big as a schoolroom. The engine of Captain Parker's ship was not that big. It was about the size of a small truck. The engineer looked at the girls and said, "What do you think you're doing here?" They told him that they were looking around. He replied, "If you want to stay here, I'll put you to work. So if you don't want to work, get out." The girls left the engine room. I think I'd do that too. They walked around the front deck. They thought about climbing the ladder that went up to the top of the mast, but that seemed too scary. At last, the girls sat down on the front deck near a lifeboat. So scholars, take a moment and see if you can figure out and track kind of where they were, right? That map again, or the picture again, gives us a nice little map of where they were, right? You could picture them at the front of the ship when they left the engine room, right? And then you can picture them maybe going over to where the mast is and looking up and thinking, oh, we could climb up there, but that might be a little scary. So now they sat down on the front deck near the lifeboat. Can you picture where they are? I'm looking at my picture right now thinking I can picture where they would be. They sat and they sat and they sat. The girls tried to talk about different things. Edna studied the water. Then she realized that she was doing the same kinds of things that she used to do when she went alone on these trips. She was sitting in the sun watching the water. Scholars, were at the blue star. That's our halfway point. Think about that for a minute and connect it back to your assignment yesterday, right? Her problem all the time was that she was bored, right? And hopefully you wrote for your reading teacher about a time you have been bored. Hopefully it was not during this reading lesson yesterday. And, right, her whole idea was when her friend got to come along, she would no longer be bored. And now here she is again, bored, and doing the exact same thing she always had done, staring at the water. All right, blue star. The sea was very calm, like a sheet of glass. Ooh. Did you hear the simile? Right? Because the sea isn't a sheet of glass. It's comparing the sea and the sheet of glass, right? It's very flat, still, and calm. And it uses the word like, which a simile uses the word like or as. The ship sliced through the water. Ooh, there's another figurative language, right? Ships can't really slice things, right? So that's personification. The ship sliced through the water and left waves that moved out in a giant V as far as Edna could see. There were beads of sweat on Carla's forehead. Carla said, "This Bermuda Triangle isn't as exciting as they say it is." Edna nodded. "Yeah, this is boring." For a moment, the girls were silent. Edna heard the squawking sound of the seagulls and the steady hum of the great engine that powered the ship. Then Carla said, "I wish we had our own boat. Then we could have some fun. I could be captain, and you would be my first mate." The girls looked at each other and smiled. Edna said, "Why don't we pretend that we have our own ship?" Scholars, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to have you read just the rest of that story to yourself, but I want you to look for two things. Listen carefully. First, I want you to find out what Carla wanted to use as their ship. And then I want you to find out what Edna first thought of Carla's idea. Pause and read the end of that, and then we'll continue. All right, let's see if you found out the answers to my questions. What did Carla want to use for their pretend ship? Yes, the lifeboat. The lifeboat that they were supposed to stay away from? And the second thing I asked you to find out, what did Edna first think of this idea? Right, she did not want to do it. But how many crew members did they notice were watching them? 0. No one's watching them. So, let's make a little prediction before our next lesson. What do you think they're going to do? Put that into your mind, and then we'll check at our next lesson. So, scholars, I want you to now join me in your packet. So scholars, here we are in our packet, lesson 25's page for today. We have met our new characters, Edna and Carla. What do we know about Edna and Carla? Write 2 personality traits you know about them and use textual evidence to support your answer. We're going to stop there for a minute and then I'll come back to this next part. All right. So scholars, personality traits, we've had some work with that when we were reading about Old Henry and Tim, right? So your physical traits, remember, are the things that people can see when they look at you, right? What you look like, the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, how tall you are, what you're wearing. If you don't have hair, perhaps, right? Physical traits about you. But personality traits, what we're working on, right, are things about your character, your inside. And they can be hard to think about. They can tie to our virtues at the school. But I also jotted down some other ideas. I'm just going to stick right here for you to see while we're working and talking. So here are some common or some examples of personality traits, right? Someone can be loving, kind, curious, patient, determined, active, daring, fair, mean, greedy, rude, playful, shy, right? Those are just some examples. Adventurous, right? Sneaky, friendly, right? Those are things that are your personality, right? Just looking at someone, you couldn't tell if that person is any of those things. It's once you get to know their personality that you find out those things about them. So, you today are naming personality traits that fit Edna and Carla. Maybe it's something on this list, but maybe you've thought of something else that fits their personality. And then evidence from the text. What did you read? Right? So think, what did you read? You don't have to write this, scholars. I'm just giving you a little reminder. But what did you read? That's evidence. What did you read that makes you think Edna and Carla have those 2 traits? Right? One that comes to my mind that we would not use is probably rude, right? If we were maybe talking about the personality traits of the engineer, right? Who's like, yeah, if you're not going to work, get out of here, right? That seemed kind of rude. So, but if you were to say Edna and Carla are rude, I don't think there's anything in the text. I don't think we read anything that would fit or support them being rude, right? So you want to have personality traits here that you can tell us what you read in the story that makes you think that's their personality. Then, scholars, the next part. So back up here. If your parent was a captain of a ship, what friend would you bring along with you? What would you do aboard the ship? So that's 2 and 3 for today. 2, I would bring. So who would you bring? Doesn't have to be someone from your reading class. Doesn't have to be someone from your class or school at all. Right? Just who would you bring? And then why, right? I would bring because. So why would you bring that person? And then number 3, what would you do aboard the ship? Because I want to use words from the question, we would right? Using words from the question. If you answered all the parts, your textual evidence, remember, is this question, right? What did you read that makes you think they have those 2 personality traits? The connection, right, is you writing about who you would bring and what you would do. And then, of course, watching your capital letters and your punctuation marks. So, scholars, that's your work for today. And then also remember 2 final things. One, when you're finished with your page, submit a photo of it to your reading teacher. And number two, please reread today's story to someone in your family, an adult, right, a sibling, pet, favorite stuffy. Read aloud and practice that fluency. That's what develops us into strong, successful readers. Thanks for joining me, scholars, for another reading lesson. I'll see you again on Thursday for the next one. Thanks for joining me, and good luck with your work today.